Hello everyone, I'm Theo Hartzell. In today's video, we are going to be covering demon possession, and I'm going to be looking specifically at helping us to understand what the words in the Greek mean for possession, because I think we have to have a true biblical understanding of possession to even understand what it means when we're talking about is a person possessed by the devil. Part of the confusion comes from the fact that the Greek word Daimonizomai, and we will look at that in this video and other videos, but the Greek word Daimonizomai was translated in the King James Version as possessed by a devil, possessed with devils. Now, this Greek word Daimonizomai has many different levels of manifestations, and we will look at some briefly. So I want to help us understand biblically, when it comes to possession or someone owning something or having something, what does that mean in the Greek? What are the Greek words for it? And does it tie into demonic possession? And if it does, how does it tie into it? I also want to help define what ownership means in this video and whether the person is owned and controlled by the demon and Satan. And also, what did Jesus actually say is ownership and who your father is and what makes that tie? I believe this video is going to answer a lot of questions. We'll have a lot of fun. This is exciting to me. I hope it's exciting to you. With that being said, let's just jump right into the scripture text, and we'll start at Mark 16 and 13. And I want to first identify what the word for demon is. And Mark 16 and 13 says, "And they cast out many devils, and anointed with oil many that were sick, and healed them." That word for devils right there is the Greek word G1140, daimonion, which literally means demons or evil spirits. And I'm showing this to you because I want you to notice that word, daimonion, and pay attention to how it's spelled, the first part of that. Because now I want to show you the word for Daimonizomai and what it means to be demon possessed. When we go to Matthew chapter 4, verse 24, it says, "And his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with divers diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils." And that phrase right there, those which were possessed with devil, all of that phrase is one singular Greek word. It is the Greek word G1139, Daimonizomai. Now, according to some of the Greek Bible dictionaries, this word, Daimonizomai, means to be possessed, afflicted, or vexed by a demon. To have or be vexed with a demon, to be under the power of a demon. And the reason that I wanted to show you the word for demon first, daimonion, is when you look at this word, Daimonizomai, you can see the first part of that word is actually the word where we get demon from. And in fact, G1142 is daimon, which is the shortened form of daimonion, but it literally means a demon also. So whether you're talking about daimon, daimonion, it is a demon. And when we are looking at passages in the King James Version Bible, which say possessed with devils, literally in the Greek, what it's saying is Daimonizomai. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this and bringing it out this way is because when it comes to an understanding of possession, biblically speaking, Daimonizomai is not necessarily expressing possession like you and I think about it today. Because the King James Version Bible is literally just saying, look, there's demonic activity right there. And the King James Version Bible says that's possessed by. And Daimonizomai, the Greek word, is literally just saying there is a manifestation of a demon spirit there. Because when you look at the Bible, you will see activity of demons, and they were doing things like driving people, tearing people, taking people, vexing people, causing people to be thrown into the floor, causing people to act like animals, causing people to cry out and scream out with loud voices, causing people to live in the tombs, causing people to try to commit suicide, causing people to cut and harm themselves. We also even see that in some of the levels of Daimonizomai, that people actually have physical infirmities and are suffering with physical disabilities in their body. For example, maybe deaf, dumb, and blind. Maybe they are hunchback in their back and they're bound by Satan, like the woman who was hunched over for 18 years. And Jesus said she's been bound by Satan, by a spirit of infirmity. In other words, let me say it like this. A person is suffering from a physical infirmity. And in the word, Daimonizomai, we would realize if it was from a demon spirit, because there's many cases where they brought the sick to Jesus. And he does not always cast the demon out of them, because not all sicknesses are a result of demonic activity. When there was a demon causing the physical infirmity, then it was Daimonizomai. The spirit was the one who caused the root issue, and the sickness is manifesting because of a demon afflicting and hurting the person. The King James Version Bible and the Greek word Daimonizomai is basically just saying when you see a demon-driven activity, regardless of what it is, that is Daimonizomai. Let me give you a couple more examples to show you what I'm talking about. In Matthew 8:16, it says, "When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick." That phrase right there, that word possessed with devils, is that word we've been looking at, Daimonizomai. In other words, they're bringing unto Jesus people that are manifesting demonic activity at whatever level is causing it. And that is this Greek word, Daimonizomai, which means to be afflicted by, affected by, tormented by, driven by a demon spirit. Another example is in Matthew 8:28. "And when he was come to the other side into the country of the Gadarenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no man might pass that way." That phrase, possessed with devils, is the Greek word Daimonizomai. In other words, these two men are experiencing and expressing and manifesting signs of demonic activity, and in the Greek, it means that they were Daimonizomai. They were demonized or afflicted and affected by demon spirits, which made them live in the tombs, made them exceedingly fierce, and if anybody came along, they went out and began to attack them, because that is a manifestation of a demon, a daimon, and the effect of it is Daimonizomai. Another example is Matthew 9:32. "As they went out, behold, they brought unto him a dumb man possessed with a devil." Again, that phrase, possessed with a devil, Daimonizomai, and the manifestation that they were seeing as a result of the demon's activity is that the man was dumb and unable to speak. The demon spirit locked up the man's vocal cords, and that is a manifestation, but it is the Greek word Daimonizomai. And I could go on with many more examples of Daimonizomai, but now I want to jump over and show you the Greek word for possession, so that I can actually contrast it and show you the difference of the words for possession and the word for Daimonizomai, which means to be afflicted or vexed or tormented by a demon spirit. Let's go to the story of the rich young ruler in Matthew 19:21. It says, "Jesus said unto him, If thou will be perfect, go and sell all that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. When you go to the sister passage in Mark chapter 10, verse 22, it says, and he was sad at that saying, and went away grieved, for he had great possessions. Now, in both of those verses, those words for possessions, both of them, are G2933 katema, which means that which is possessed, in possession, property, lands, estates, to possess. So let me explain it this way. The Bible here says that this man had great possessions, katema. That's what the Greek word possession means, in the sense of he had houses and lands and real estate, and he had a lot of stuff. And the Bible here says that this word katema for possession means to actually own something. You are the lawful, legal, rightful owner. And Jesus said, go sell all of your katemas. And so that means that this man was the owner. He wasn't just a steward or a manager. He wasn't renting or leasing the stuff. It's not something that he borrowed from a friend. It is his. He owns the title to it. He owns the deed to it. It is his and in his name, and he is the legal, lawful, rightful owner. Another example in Acts 2:45, and this is talking about the New Testament church, it says, and sold their possessions and goods. That word for possessions right there is G2933 katema, and this is telling us that the New Testament church took and sold all of their possessions. Another example is in Acts chapter 5, verse 1. But a certain man named Ananias and Sapphira, his wife, sold a possession, katema. It was theirs. They were the legal, rightful, lawful owners. They had the right to sell it, keep it, do whatever they wanted to do with it because it was theirs. And the Greek word here is possession, katema, which means that it is their possession, or they are the owner and they can do whatever they want to with it. It is katema, G2933. So when you are talking about someone possessing something, having something, owning something, and they are the legal, rightful owner of said possession, it is the Greek word katema, G2933. These people sold their katemas, their possessions, the things they own. Can you see that this is not the Greek word Daimonizomai, which means to be afflicted or affected or tormented or vexed by a demon? The person is not the possession of the demon. Now let me give you another word which means to possess something. Luke 18:12. I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. That is the Greek word G2932, kateomai, which is the sister word to the one that we just saw. This word, kateomai, means to possess, get, acquire, or to procure to oneself. A couple of other examples, Luke 21:19. In your patience possess ye your souls, kateomai. 1 Thessalonians 4:4, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor. That word for possess, kateomai. In other words, you are possessing your vessel in sanctification and honor. Now, I know I am driving this home over and over, but it's because I'm trying to help us get a true biblical understanding of what being possessed with devils means. When it comes to this Greek word Daimonizomai, there are many different levels, and we can even see it in the context of the Bible, because people were driven by demons, vexed by demons, afflicted by demons, tormented by demons, on and on. And when it comes to the King James Version Bible, whenever there was any demon activity whatsoever, they just said, oh, there it is, demon activity. That means possessed by a demon. Wait a second, hold on, It is the Greek word Daimonizomai, which was simply trying to let us know that whatever was going on was a manifestation of a demon spirit, or there was the presence of a demon spirit. Now, let me give you an illustration that might make this plain and easier to understand. Let's say that I'm driving down the road in my car and you're walking, and I pull up beside you and I say, hey, come on, get in the car. And you open up the door and you get in my car. Let me ask you a question. Does that mean that you own my car? Does that mean that you are the legal, lawful, rightful owner of the car? Because I told you to get in the car and you got in the car. Does that make you the owner? Yes or no? Well, the answer should be no. Why? Because my name is the one that is on the title deed, and I am the legal, lawful, rightful owner of the car. And just because you got in the car does not mean you are the owner of the car. It is my katama. It is my possession. I own it. And let's go further with the example. Let's say you reach over and turn my radio on, and you roll the window down and start playing with the window and rolling the window up and down. You open my glove box and start going through all the stuff I have in my glove compartment. Let's say that you got coffee. You spill your coffee all over the seat and the floorboard. There's mud on your feet because it's been raining, and you're getting mud all over the floorboard. All of those things are affecting my car, and you're affecting me. You've turned on the radio. You're messing with my window. You've spilt stuff everywhere. You're making a mess. You're going through my private things in the glove box. Does that mean that you own my car? Does that mean it's your possession because you're in my car? And the answer is no. I might have even invited you in, and you are messing with the inside of my car, afflicting me, tormenting me, and destroying my car from the inside out, but it does not make you the legal rightful owner. It is not your katama. Let's say that I get tired of you doing all that stuff to the inside of my car and destroying my car. So I tell you, go ahead and get out. This is just not working out. It's not what I thought it was going to be. Get out. And you're mad and you're offended. So you catch my car when I'm not in the car. You take a key or a piece of metal and you start scraping the paint off. You find a rock or a brick. You break the window out. You take a knife or something and you stab the tires and flatten my tires. You break the antenna off of it. You do all this stuff to destroy and afflict and destroy the outside of my car. Does that mean you own the car? Does that mean you are the lawful legal owner of the car? Does it mean it is your katama? Yes or no? Is it your car? What am I saying, and how does all this tie together? In both of these examples, you were able to get in my car, afflict my car, torment me in the meantime and in the process, destroy it from the inside out. In the example of you being on the outside, you tore the paint off, broke the antenna off, broke the window out, and flattened the tires. And none of that affliction, torment, destruction had anything to do with the fact that you owned it. You got in the car and you got outside the car and you were able to afflict the vehicle, but it does not make you the lawful, legal, rightful owner, and it is not your possession. If you borrow my car and act like it's yours and drive it all around, you are able to impose your will and do what you want to my car, but it does not make you the legal, lawful, rightful owner of the car. If you steal someone's car, you can impose your will and do what you want. Drive it where you want, how you want, and how fast you want to get there, but it does not make you the legal, lawful, rightful owner, even though you are imposing your will, destroying the car, and doing the things that you want to do. It does not mean you are the legal, lawful owner of the car. How does it tie into demon possession? In this way, that because a demon is able to come against someone, afflict, torment, vex someone, compel or push them or drive them to do things, does not necessarily imply ownership, in the sense that they have the legal right or ownership of the person that the demon spirit is afflicting and tormenting and causing distress, whether on the inside or from the outside. Fiery darts of the enemy and destruction and death and decay from the inside out. Now, another example of possessed or possession that I want to show you is in Acts 16:16. And it came to pass, as we went to prayer, a certain damsel, possessed with a spirit of divination, met us, which brought her masters much gain by soothsaying. Now, this is going to help us understand some stuff, because it says that she was possessed with a spirit of divination. But I want you to notice this. That word for possessed right there is G2192 ahold, which means to have, to hold, implying continued possession. To have or hold in the sense of wearing. To have possession of the mind. To lay hold of a thing. Now, the reason that I want to highlight this word in contrast to the other words like katema that we looked at, to have a possession. This verse right here says that the girl was possessed by an unclean spirit, a demon spirit, a spirit of divination, which is a demon. And this word ahold means that something has a hold of. Now, let me ask you this right here. Just because you have a hold of something, does that make you the legal, lawful, rightful owner of something just because you're holding something? Me and you might be working on a building or something, and I've got my tool bag right there. And you walk by and say, oh, I want to use that hammer. And you grab that hammer. You grab my hammer out of my tool bag. Does that mean that you're the lawful, legal, rightful owner of my hammer? And the answer is no. When this says right here that the girl was possessed, ahold, by a demon spirit, it means that someone had a hold of someone. Somebody grabbed something. And this goes back to these different levels of Daimonizomai, manifestation. To be seized by, grabbed by, driven by, vexed by, afflicted by, tormented by a demon spirit. Does not necessarily imply ownership, that the person is owned by the demon or devil. And one reason that I want to highlight this word so much is because when it comes to this word ahold, somebody grabbing a hold of something, I want to ask you this question in this story. Who has a hold of who? Does the demon have a hold of the girl, or does the girl have a hold of the demon? What do I mean? There are many times in many cases where people open up the doorway to demons and allow demons entrance and access and authorization to come in. And then the person's life starts to fall apart because of the demon spirit, the Daimonizomai, the afflicting of the spirit. But it was because the person was the one who grabbed a hold of the demon in the first place. And I'll talk about this more in other videos. But it ends up being where the person begins to have less and less control over their own life, their own thoughts, their own will, because the demon is gaining strength and becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and replacing the person. And that's what I'm talking about, these different levels of manifestations. What do I mean? Have you ever heard somebody say, hey, it's my life and I can do whatever I want to do with it? Have you ever heard anybody say something like, hey, it's my body and I'm not hurting anybody else, so just leave me alone. This is me and my thing. And you know what's going on? They are comfortable with the demon that they are actually inviting in their life. And many times people grab a hold of demon spirits because the demon spirit makes them comfortable, or they want what they perceive as power or knowledge or some kind of wisdom or some kind of attribute that this demon spirit is going to give them. And therefore the person wants the demon. They want the lust. They want the gratification of the flesh. They want the satisfaction of the addiction. And they are not thinking about the inconsequences, but the person is the one who seizes or grabs a hold of the demon, not realizing that before it's over, the demon is going to have a strong hold on the person. Now I want to make a transition and jump over into what Jesus Christ said actually demonstrates and shows ownership and who your Father is and who is controlling you. So please listen to me very carefully. In John chapter 8, verse 44, it says, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there was no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it." Now, how did Jesus lead up to this moment where he was calling these Jewish people here, saying, your father is the devil? When you go back to verse 33, they answered him, "We be Abraham's seed, and we were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free?" Jesus answered them, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin." Did you see that? That's going to be critical. Jesus said, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. We'll look at how Jesus tied all this together. Go to verse 39. They answered and said unto him, "Abraham is our father." Jesus said unto them, "If you were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. But now ye seek to kill me, a man that hath told you the truth, which I have heard of God. This did not Abraham." In other words, Abraham didn't try to kill messengers of God. Listen to verse 41. "Ye do the deeds of your father." Then said they to him, "We be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even God." Now I want you to notice this. In verse 39, they were trying to say that their father was Abraham. Now in verse 41, they are now trying to say that their father is God. So first it was Abraham, and now they're trying to appeal to a higher authority and say that God is their father. Listen to what Jesus said in verse 42. Jesus said unto them, "If God were your father, you would love me." Now notice that Jesus is countering all their points of fatherhood, ownership, authority, delegation. In verse 39, Jesus said, "If you were Abraham's children." Verse 42, "If you were God's children." And then that ties us back into verse 44, where Jesus actually said, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do." That word for devil right there is G1228, diabolos, which is talking about Satan himself. Jesus literally said right here to these Jewish people, your father is the devil himself. What does any of this have to do with demonic possession and ownership and who your father is and what's going on? How does this tie into Daimonizomai? The reason it ties in is because Jesus was actually saying what conveys ownership is not necessarily Daimonizomai, the afflicting or vexation or tormenting or drivenness of a demon spirit compelling you, driving you, trying to make you do something, whether from the inside or outside, however it happens, does not necessarily mean and convey ownership. And Jesus was actually saying that ownership, or who your father is actually tied to a lifestyle of sin and whether you are in sin or not. And Jesus tells these Jewish people right here, hey, you are of your father the devil. It's not Abraham and it's not God. You're not owned by God, and you're not under God's authority, delegation, discipline, and rights, and everything that comes with God as your father. Your actual father is the devil himself, diabolos, G1228. Lucifer himself is who your dad actually is. Another example that I can give you that fits in perfectly with this is 1 John 3:8. He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. Notice that. This is saying the exact same thing that Jesus just said. that the devil sinneth from the beginning. He was a murderer from the beginning. He was a liar from the beginning. And John the Beloved right here says that he that committeth sin is of the devil. The same Greek word, G1228, diabolos. He that commits sin belongs to Lucifer himself. Now that word for sin right there is G266, harmatia, which means to miss or wander from the paths of uprightness, to sin or err, to miss the mark, that which is done wrong, to violate God's law. Verse 9, whosoever is born of God doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he is born of God. In this the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil, diabolos. Now let me address something real quick, because you might be saying, well, Brother Theo, is this saying that every time I commit a sin that I now belong to the devil? And let me address it this way. Jesus said that the person that sins becomes a servant to sin. And what he is saying, and this is all saying is, and that word for commit means to form or to fashion or to construct. In other words, the sense of organizing or planning or scheming or thinking of something to do. In other words, I could say it like this, that the person that is willfully wanting to sin is walking into what Jesus called becoming a servant to sin. So let me say it like this. There is a big difference between a born-again, spirit-filled believer who is trying to do the best they can, falling into sin on accident, messing up and making a mistake because of what the Apostle Paul called the law of sin that abides in our members. And the things we don't want to do, sometimes we do. And the things that we should do, hey, sometimes we don't do what we are supposed to do. And that is the law of sin that wars in our members. Now, there is a big difference between that person who is trying to do the best they can, but sometimes make a mistake, versus the person who has willful intent, and whether subconsciously or not, are making plans and starting to take actions and put things in order to where they can go and commit the sin or do the thing that they want to do. In a case of lust, for example, you start doing things and looking at things that you shouldn't look at. And now you're meditating and thinking about what you're going to do, how you're going to get access to it, what you're going to buy. And we could go into all kinds of details, but you are now actively taking steps to commit the sin and do the sins. You are forming, constructing, and fashioning a plan to get into the sin. And from the aspect of being a servant to sin, there are people who are enslaved to the sin and cannot get away, and therefore they are a servant to sin. And when you are a servant to sin, your father literally really is the devil. It doesn't even have to be Daimonizomai, because a lifestyle of sin, a servant to sin, means that Satan is your father. So you may be sitting there thinking, well, demon-possessed means the person is owned by the devil. Jesus is like, If you're living a lifestyle of sin, your father's already the devil. You don't have to wait on demon possession. You don't have to wait on Daimonizomai. You're already there because you're living a lifestyle of sin and you are a servant to sin. The sin has control over you. The sin is your master and you've lost control and can't stop yourself. Let's look at Ephesians chapter 2. The Apostle Paul said, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of the flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. Notice several things. The Apostle Paul said it was the course of this world. That means the manner, lifestyle, and customs of the world and what we just naturally do as people. He also said the prince of the power of the air. Now, who do you think that's talking about? That's talking about Satan himself. But notice that phrase, children of disobedience. In other words, they already belong to Satan because they're in the world and committing a lifestyle, manner, and custom of sin. In other words, Satan is their master, Satan is their father, because they are under Lucifer himself. And notice in verse 3, he said the children of wrath. Can you see how all of this ties in? That ownership is under the umbrella of sin itself and not necessarily being tormented or afflicted or vexed by a demon. Let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. What I am trying to show you over and over emphatically is that when it comes to ownership and who your father is and who you belong to, Jesus, the Apostle Paul, the Apostle John, all were trying to show you, look, when it comes to ownership and who your father is legally, it is tied to whether you are sinning or not, whether you are living a lifestyle of sin, whether you are a servant to sin or not. So people are over here looking at Daimonizomai and saying, oh, that person's possessed by a devil, or that person's afflicted and tormented by a demon spirit. That must mean that the devil is their father and that they're owned by a demon spirit. Hold on. Jesus is saying way back before you even worry or think about demon possession, it goes all the way back to a lifestyle of sin, a lifestyle of being a servant to sin and cannot get out from that sin. But now I want to give you a summary and a takeaway out of this video. And when it comes to the Greek word Daimonizomai, there are many different levels of manifestation of Daimonizomai. To be vexed by, afflicted by, driven by, tormented by, thrown by, any number of manifestations that we will look at. And those are results of Daimonizomai, which unfortunately the King James Version just interpreted and said every one of them possessed by. But it is the Greek word Daimonizomai, which simply meant the presence or affliction or manifestation of a demon spirit hurting or harming or afflicting a person and causing something to happen to the person's mind, body, emotions, whatever, making them suicidal, making them try to kill themselves, cut themselves, throw themselves in the ground, the floor, causing physical infirmities, ailments, diseases, sicknesses that they could not be delivered from. And it was the manifestation of a demon spirit, Daimonizomai. But for example, in the case of the woman who was hunchback, she was bound by Satan, although she was a daughter of Abraham. In the case of Daimonizomai, it does not necessarily imply ownership, because according to Jesus and John and Paul, what actually means ownership is not Daimonizomai, but being in sin. And I know and understand that sin ultimately opens up the doorway to demon activity, and we will cover that extensively in another video. But being a servant to sin actually opens up a doorway for demons to come in and have their way, and they will. And that's why you cannot be a servant to sin. What do I want you to take away out of this video? Is that if you are in a lifestyle of sin and you are doing something that you are compelled to do over and over, you better get out of that lifestyle of sin, whether stronghold or demonic activity, because living a lifestyle of sin and being a servant to sin means that God is not even your father, because you are servant to the sin, and therefore the devil is your master and your owner. And you are actually doing the works of your father, the devil, and his lust you will do, because he was a sinner, a murderer, and a liar from the beginning. And that's why he wants to keep you in sin, because if you're in sin, he's got control over you, and you are a children of disobedience, you are a children of wrath, and you are a children to the God of this world, doing the things that he is compelling you and driving you to do. Just because you are able to afflict or torment or destroy a car from the inside or the outside does not mean that you are the legal, rightful, lawful owner of the car. Whoever is the legal, rightful owner is the one with their name on the title deed. So what does that mean for demon activity and demon spirits? Let me just say it this way. If a demon spirit is coming against a born-again, spirit-filled believer, and there is some kind of physical infirmity, disease, or sickness that is manifesting that is the result of a demonic spirit, does not mean that that Christian is a child of the devil, does not mean that they are possessed by a devil, and does not mean that the devil is their father. It means that they are being attacked and fought against, afflicted, and tormented by a demon spirit, and the affliction and sickness inside of their body and what is malfunctioning, going wrong, is not because they are possessed by a devil, but are instead being attacked by a devil, a demon. And I will cover all of that more in a separate video. But in this video, I wanted to just go over the word for possession to help you understand how does this tie into the King James, possessed with devils, possessed with a devil, possessed by devils. What does this mean? Amen. God bless you. I pray this video was a blessing to you in some way and that you enjoyed it and you learned something. I appreciate you praying for me and my family, and I'm asking you to continue to cover me in prayer. God bless you. I love you. You pray for me, and I'll be praying for you. God bless you. I love you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. I love you. Bye-bye.